Howdy, it's Matt and welcome back to the mess, which is my desk, and this is gonna be a workshop ramble for you. Now, what are we gonna be covering with you in this episode? In short, you may have noticed some little doodads, pointies, eek. Right, what am I chatting about? Matt, spit your words out. Twin motor Teksumo. How inspired is that? Fuck yes! Really looking forward to this. It's going to be great fun. Now, let me just put this into perspective for you. Big hat tip to Neil. I'll put a link to his Thingiverse files, which you'll see there. I've got there on the camera. I printed these ones out. First of all, they are that's the right and that's the left one. And I printed these out to begin with, and they were a fantastic start. But I did feel that when I put them on the actual wing itself, there wasn't like enough meat on top of the foam itself. So what I did was that I took the STL files, I brought the nose out by 1 centimetre, and then I brought the tails back by 3 centimetres or 30 mils. So those are the ones which we can see here on the Teksumo. Now, I've not been and glued them on just yet. There you go, so there they are. They're just longer because I felt like they needed to be longer so we had a greater glue surface with the model. Again, I'm not going to be holding back on this one. A twin motor Teksumo, potentially a tri-motor Teksumo, fuck yeah, right up my street, is that I did feel that we needed an extra bit of meat in the, sorry, I'm really excited about this one. An extra bit of meat on the motor mount was categorically needed. Now, for us to be able to do this project, and I've kind of already turned that on, so I'll probably end up melting something with that in a moment. There's my mate. I don't know if you've met him yet. There's insert your own little names for little Richard down there. Onto a serious point. I do need to go and find 2 donor motors. Now, I've got 2 wings here, which have, the motor which I'm going to be putting on the back is going to be the D28 26 2200 kV motors are going to be my weapons or powerhouses of choice for this moderately insane project. Now, I've got 2 more on the way to me, but in the interim it does mean that I need to go scrounging motors off 2 other models to be able to do this. Now, apologies in advance, I can see the camera vibrating up there a bit. I will set up a new rig for the camera as soon as I can. But for now, it's what we've got, and that's what I'm going with. So we're going to go and pinch these motors off the back of here. So I've got one on the back of the S800 V2 wing, which is, by the way, a very good wing, and I have definitely not been adapting it to put something like that in it in the side to help fly in and around trees. No questions, well, I won't answer any questions what that is, but those about you might recognise what that kind of device is there. So anyway, yeah, need to choose a different motor. I may downgrade the motor from something so crazy on the back of the S800 wing to maybe, not a quad motor, maybe, I've got some 1000 kV motors so that I can get some decent pace in them. Again, 4S, decent sized prop. We'll get plenty of speed out of it, and because I've got I think about 3 of the motors which I'm thinking about. If I blow one up or burn one out, I'm not going to be honest, cry. In short, oh, that's in there good. Good boy, Matt, you've done your job and actually done them up tight for once. I'm terrible for not tightening up stuff too tight when it comes to like little panels like this, because if you're out in the flight line and something breaks, you may have to wrap a pair of pliers around it to get the screws out. So I normally don't do them up that tight, but right, that's gone tight enough. We'll get that motor off. We'll also need to get it off its motor mount as well. So let's spin that back around. I will need to... Oh, that's a bloody good start. So I'm going to fix stuff when we go. Look, the thing's being popped out the back. Oh, that's just annoying. Let me fix that while I'm at it. If I use CA glue, it will be too brittle. So I will use some E6000 and stuff that down the hole, and that should be job a good one. So anyway, I tell you what, while I'm here just fixing this one, let me know how you think this twin, potentially tri-motor Teksumo is going to go down. Do you think it's perhaps an inspired idea? Maybe you're in my league of slightly unhinged pilot syndrome. Or maybe, or just maybe, you think it might be a little bit bonkers and it's not going to go very well. Let me know right now in the comments section underneath this video. Oh, it's going to be fun. Whatever happens, it'll be fun. That's the thing to remember. Remember, it's, for me, I'm getting that bloody old. That's it. For me, when it comes to FPV, and I'm sure you've heard me say this before, FPV really is just video gaming in real life. I'm well into it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. No, not sat in front of the computer on my arse, on your ass potentially, just gaming away, not doing anything. You're out, you're getting some fresh air, you haven't just go and do a stomp because you've been and stuffed a model in a tree again, you know, and you're out with some mates. I think it's great. Absolutely. Well, as you may have guessed, I've gone rather balls deep into some modelling, into some RC stuff lately. Well, I say lately, for the past blooming year or so. Right, let's put that back in there. Put that one in there. I can't remember where I got this tool. I think it was actually Hobby King. I bought this little multi-tool. It's really good. Decent points on the end as well. They're not just real cheap crap ones. They are decent hardened tips to all of them actually. So yeah, what happens? The screws break before the nibs break, before the end break. So that's always a good sign. How many times have you been and bought cheap tools and they've been absolute rubbish, to say the least? So let's get this one off. I've got to do the same again in a moment. And you can see I've had this motor. This motor's been with me for a while. I haven't completely shagged it yet, because two of the HT leads have got heat shrink tubing over the top. So that kind of indicates that they have potentially been abused quite a bit in the past. Now, I've taken that X mount off, but really I need to be putting this back on the model, so when I go and put another motor on the back, is that I've got at least 4 of this little bolt quad things there on the back of the model. That's soldering iron's hot. And you may be wondering, Matt, why have you got the soldering iron on? Well, to be honest, I could probably turn it off because it only takes a minute or two to warm up. And the answer to that is that I've got to solder up 2 ESCs in advance to power both of these motors, and potentially I need to go and find a 3rd ESC as well to go in in the 3rd motor. So yeah, as you can imagine, Matt is here rather excited, thinking tri-motor natter Teksumo. Does life get any better? This is almost lesbian. No, let's not even go there for that one. It's right up there in the cool things to be done. So anyway, that's one motor. Now, I think down there I've got a bloody great big pile of... oh, that is a good one. Right, we'll have that one off as well. Same scenario. This is the little black wing. This poor little wing is a black wing. The last time I flew this one, I flew it for the vast majority of the flight, from takeoff to landing, and including unscheduled landings, inverted. And I had absolute way over time of it. The poor little thing's been absolutely mullered. It's filled with loads and loads of hot snot on the back end of it. It ain't as pretty as it once was. But on the positive side, if there's one thing which I have been improving with this Ishin black wing, is that it is exactly what I expected and exactly what I hoped it was going to be, which is that I was hoping that it was going to be tough, it was going to be robust, it was going to be able to take a bloody good thrashing. And those of you which saw it on its FPV maiden, I stuffed it in a tree. Even Andrew stuffed it in a tree as well. At full knacker. Neither of us were holding back, yeah, it's done really well. I'm actually genuinely impressed, and it's such a cool time right now, I feel, to be an RC modeler, because there's a whole variety of models out there to suit all of our different needs and requirements of the hobby, and they're just so cheap. They're so cheap and they're so good as well. And I genuinely mean that. I really come across a really, really bad model lately, And yeah, we had a couple of duffers, what was it, the Scout, the Decathlon Scout, that was a pile of crap. We chucked that in the cement mixer and set fire to it. We also had, what was it, the DW Rainbow, no, it was the Dancing Wings Thunderbird, whatever it was called. That was an utter POS, that went in the thing as well. But yeah, we don't really have that many bad models in the scheme of things. We have models which don't suit my particular flying style, which is faster the better, to be honest. So we do have models like that which don't last very long here. They normally go off and find a new home, and what and fucking arse, that ain't coming out. This is where I wish I had a vice on the side of the desk, because that ain't coming out in a hurry. Oh, cock. That's got glue on it as well. Right, things you shouldn't do and you're not seeing this, just look away now. Things you probably shouldn't do is that, let's stick some heat down the back of it. Let's see if that helps it go. I mean, that's hot now. Come on! Yeah, get out! Belter. Right, sorry. That was properly stuck in there, so I've just used a bit of heat just to warm it up. And that's obviously just been enough just to crack it. I think I must have put a little bit of CA glue down the back of it. That's just been enough just to crack the doodah off, the screw out. Now I need to put these screws to one side because I obviously don't want to lose them, and especially those decent ones. And again, I'm just going to pop the motor mount back on here. That's the right ones. Again, do like this multi-tool. Pretty, like I said, I'm pretty sure I bought this off Hobby King a while back. I think it was about a tenner or so. Absolute bargain, because I've used it absolutely loads here in the office. And you would have noticed actually on the back of the S800 and also on the back of this little Blackwing is that I'm using the S800 motor mount extension, which costs like $2, $3, something like that, off Banggood. Absolute bargain. And yeah, let's get these done up. And it does push it back again. The one fuck up, sorry, the one mistake which they made. That's alright, I am doing my best to watch my language, but do just be aware you are at my workbench and we are just having a chit chat between us, so we might get into an adult topic or two. Right, anyway, coming back to my point, the one screw up which they made is that they did say that you would put an 1806 motor on the back of here, which is absolutely rubbish because you'd have to cut off the back of here. So a motor mount like that to push it back a bit. So you get the motor out into cleaner air. Again, cleaner air means a faster model, means a quieter model. So it's all good things. There's no bad points to it. Well, the only negative is that you have to put more weight in the nose. Well, this one, 2200 3S, 2200 4S in the nose, and happy days. So yeah, that's the little Blackwing. It's down there to get some work done on it, because as you can see, it's seen better days. So that is down there in the please fix me pile. Unfortunately, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, minimum of 6, because there's a couple more over there in the please fix me pile, which I will get around to fixing at some point or other. Anyway, top next, what were we doing? We're trying to work our way here, aren't we? We're trying to get ourselves in and sorted as far as the getting these things, the motor mounts on the wing. So what I've had to use is some 18mm M3 bolts, which I bought off eBay. Corking buy. I've bought loads of them now, and the thread for these are M3s. Now, I will set this as best as I can. I need to just check this. I want the wires on the top, and the reason why I want the wires on the top is because I don't want them scraping the ground. In short, I don't want them ripping them off. I don't mind having the let's put that on there. Aha! So it's going to be off to the side. I need to. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. Again, I've just get in. So I'm just put the first one on. Just going to edge that round. And if I can get the second one on now, that means the third one will go on as well. Sweet as a nut. So just, yeah, that's on. Now the one downside, which I would say to these motor mounts, there's only just iron it up, is that if I burn out this motor, or I need to change the thrust angle, basically I can't. And the reason why I can't is because, is that I'm having to put the screws in from the back. What would be a far superior method would be to, to be able to take the motor off. So we had an X mount on the front of there, so the X mount which we just saw a few moments ago, if we had an X mount on the end, that would be a far superior approach, I feel, compared to what I'm doing here right now. But on the flip side, it's this Teksumo. I haven't flown it in ages. This was my 3S one. I've got a 4S one up there, which I've set up for 4S, and that one there's been up there for a while, and I know I haven't flown that one for a while, but on a serious point, the 4S one, it's the only Teksumo I've ever seen with bright red paint on it. The dude which did the painting that day must have been in a good mood, because I've never seen a Teksumo with such bright colours. Anyway, that's in there, that's on there nice and tight, so that's motor number one. Now you'll see that on the wing I've already been in marked out the placement. I've already done some measurements on there, so yeah, that's exactly what I had planned for the cables to hang out on the side. That's okay, it's not going to be like the most visually attractive ever. To be honest, I'm just going to spank its nuts off and give it, what, 4 basically. Also, just to give you a heads up, these do have the Corona, let me put this right, they are the 238 MG servos, which I'm pretty sure, if you look up on the Hobby King website, because that's where I bought them, you may discover that they are actually 4 kilo servos torque. Matt was having issues. The setup which I've got, what I've had for my Teksumos, if you look up in the old YouTube videos you'll find it, is that they are some of the fastest Teksumos in the world because of these silly oversized, well, I'm not going to say silly, the rather over propped motors and setups which I was using, and also on a serious point is that I can make them hyperstall, because when you find take up as high as you dare, point the nose towards the ground, you go full speed towards the ground, which is easily a ton, and you get down to the ground and then you bank it out like that, you pull it sticks hard back as you dare, and the wing will hyperstall and fall flat on the ground. Literally 100 miles an hour, pull back, stop, it stalls and falls flat on the ground. Never seen anything like that ever since doing it that day. Absolutely frigging bonkers. Bonkers. I've not known anybody else be able to do that with a wing, and it was just because it was just ridiculously overpowered, and the servos had enough torque in them to be able to do it, and a large enough surface. So yeah, I've had hundreds of flights with my Teksumos, and this is why I didn't feel too bad right now, because that was actually my second one. The first one I killed in the ground on 4S, oops, and it took a bit of a beating, and just doing these up, trying to do these up in order, and yeah, I don't feel too bad because I got the 4S one up there. And by the way, the reason why I'm going slow with these is because while this plastic, this 3D printed plastic is ABS, it still has a point when it could break, so just need to ease that one on, and we're just going to put that one over there. Now, before, like I said, I've already got the pen out and marked out where this goes, but what I am going to do, just for sanity, is that something which I now can only do when I've got the motors on here, is that obviously we need to make sure the propellers miss the side of the models, which they do, and they're both pointing in the right direction because they were both set up as a pusher configuration. Now, here's the curiosity, is that a normal wing, where you've got the wing at the back with the motor at the back, it's always noisy because it's got so much crap in the way in front of it, so big front wing in the front of it, so it's always dealing with disturbed air. What I'm expecting from this Teksumo is that it's actually going to be, even though we've got 2 motors on the front, is actually going to be rather quiet. And the reason why I'm expecting it to be rather quiet is because all of this fresh, broken air is going to hit the propellers and then rush across the surfaces. Now I have also been to put them in that spot on purpose, so that they do then go over straight back, and then they do hit this servo at the back, so I am hitting the elevon's surface at the point where it's got maximum strength for the servo, so it's not hitting out on the tip, or it's not hitting it halfway up, you know. That's the way it should be set as well. I'm going to go anyway, give you a hint. You'll notice that I have actually cut my elevons back quite far on mine, just to swing a nice big prop on the back. So right, I just need to go and get this out. I do need to do a couple of daft measurements, because I don't want to screw it up, in short. The first thing is I need to make sure that they are both at the same point on the wing, which is going to be rather frustrating because Matt has glued on some Velcro strip on the top, and if I pull that off it will look really, really cack. So what I'm going to do is get a couple of pins, and I'm going to put a pin in the middle there. I'm going to put a pin in the joint up there. Then I'm going to get my ruler out, one of the most versatile tools which I've got in the office besides, it says besides, I don't know what, craft knife, I think, which is probably one of the most dangerous things I've got in the office besides, to be honest, the wife. Let's not tell her that one. Right. I do just want to make sure that I get the distances right for both sides, so I'm just going to just do it by eye. I know that this bar, if I bring this into the middle so you can see what's going on, and just apologies for the rest of the mess, which is my desk. What I am doing, I'm just going to do it in line. I know that this top spar, one additional spar which I put in, is actually level in 90 degrees to the centre of the wing, something which I did when I actually put the model together. And right now that's hitting, so that's where it's just touching on there, at 185, maybe 186 millimeters. So I'm just going to turn that around, and I'm expecting exactly the same, which I am. Look at that! Happy days! Right, so Matt did put that, so my previous little mock-up has come true, that's brilliant. One other thing which I am going to quickly do is, again, just a straightforward sanity check, is that what I have here is a aluminium rule. This is my woodworking adventures from many moons ago. I bought a ton of aluminium strips, which we're going to use as jigs and whatnot. Anyway, my point being is that I want to use this to ensure that these two motors are actually level and straight, and the reason being is that if they're off skewed, that I'm just eyeing them up by eye at the moment. Yeah, that looks good. Right, the reason why I'm just doing that very quickly is just to make sure both motors are pointing forwards at 90 degrees. Well, at least they're both pointing in the same direction. So if it's going to skew off to one way, that's fine. They're both going to point in the same direction. They're not going to be like wonky-eyed or skew-eyed like that. They are both pointing forwards. So that is happy days. I'm really happy with my trim. Now, because I am happy with what's going on, I am just going to pop a pin or two around the edges of these motor mounts. Now, like I said, I will put links to the motor mounts in the video description for you. They did take me about 3 hours to print for each side. Now, one of the prints did screw up. Some of you may have seen the photo in the FaceBalls group of the early Christmas tree which I was given, and the reason being is that I should have put a raft on the bottom. I didn't put a raft on, and so what a raft is basically a base which goes on the bottom of this piece here, so when it prints out it's less likely to wobble around, and that's what happened. The other one didn't have a raft on the bottom, like an extra bit of base, and then it did move, and then it just sat there for the next 2 hours, and just very, very frustrating. And it's my own fault. I should have gone and checked on it, and I would have spotted it a lot blooming sooner, and I should have frankly set it up so that I had a raft on the bottom. So we're getting there. Brilliant. So let's go and get this off now. Next thing I need to do is get a sanding pad out. That's not actually going to work out, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to get the dirty Dremel out, dirty hack tool. Honestly, these things are so dirty, hacky, unreal. You may have noticed on my last email episode a while back, I got a shed load of these little grit doodahs. I think it probably looks like about 80 grit which I've got on there. But I'm just going to scuff up plastic to make sure we got a nice rough surface in there. Now my glue of choice would be, what should we call it, goop glue. If I had some goop glue, and I do actually technically have some goop glue, but I'm being a tight bar steward. And the reason why I'm being a tight bar steward is because recently I've been having really good experiences with E6000 glue. I'll put a link to that in the video description. Super cheap-ish, $6, something like that. You can buy it off Banggood now, which is brilliant, I think. In short, it's really good. It's runnier than goop glue, I hasten to add, but it's cheap and it works rather well. Now, there's me. I was expecting that just to ooze out. Just going to pick out the bottom, clean out the lid while I'm at it. And I'm going to take two approaches to this. I'm going to put some glue on the wing where I'm expecting the motor mount to sit, and I've put far too much on. Okay, yeah, I've put far too much on the wing, and I'll do one side at a time to begin with, and I'm just using a propeller, a little 50-30 propeller as a spreader, because I think that's probably the only use for 50-30 propellers nowadays. So yeah, I'm just giving the foam a good coat. I know that E6000 glue is, excuse me, losing my voice there, is really good with EPP. Normally never an issue with EPP. EPO foam, it could potentially be a problem. So if you're looking at using E6000 glue on EPP, make sure that you test it beforehand that it's gonna be okay. Because I've had it melt a model, well, part of a model before, so just be aware of that. And again, I'm not holding back on the glue. Like I said, the glue's not that expensive, and you also know that I'm going to be thrashing the blooming nuts off this thing, so I want to make sure that there's plenty of glue on there to hold this motor mount on the wing itself. So let's go and dump that over there, put that there. Now, E6000 glue, make sure you're using this in a well ventilated area. Let's go and get this one on. Brilliant. Oozing that in. Happy days. Now, I tell you what, I have made a bit of a fuck up. And what Matt has been and done, and what Matt can't blooming see, and that is really frustrating. I've put my drill somewhere. What I should have done, hindsight is beautiful. What I should have done is drilled a hole in the top. And I can't see my drill here, so I need to do the next best thing. So look away if you're mortified by model abuse. Is that what I'm going to do is heat up a bit of wire. Cool. Stick that in the top. And the reason why I've just been and done that, it means that I can then stick a pin in the top, and I can ensure that the motor mount stays in place, which is obviously a highly desirable thing. Right, so that's one side done. I need to clear my desk off a mo. Move that out of the way. Turn that around. So we've got one side, and obviously we're going to have to leave this overnight to make sure that it sets, because it will take a while. Right. Same again. Don't know where my drill is. I think my builder's been and nicked it. But we're still working here on the main house at the moment. It's just taking flipping forever. Months and months of fun. Right. Cool. So I've got a hole in there so I can stick a pin in it. That holds it still. Remember, I need to just rough up the inside. I'm not going mental. Make sure we've got a nice rough surface for the glue to stick to. Happy days, that's gone down well. Right, get the glue out. Now, apologies, this might actually be off the screen for you. I'll see if I can just rearrange a few bits here on my desk. There we go. Right. Get some glue. Again, the goal here is to get some glue on both parts. Again, get some glue on the wing itself to make sure that there's like a nice covering on there, and also to make sure we get some glue on the motor mount itself as well. Again, I want to ensure that there's a real good adhesion here, because otherwise, well, you see my throttle action and it will end up having, it'll probably end up ripping the motor mount off. That's why I printed off the extra bit of plastic. That's why I tweaked the design slightly to add some more plastic to it, and I will probably even stick a cable tie or two round the motor mount as well, because I am genuinely concerned that I will end up ripping one of the motors off the model. Well, why wouldn't you? We're going to do like crazy stuff. We're going to have a go at doing some vertical launches, obviously with no software. I know some of you may be wondering, and you've probably already left me a comment already right now, Matt, you should do a vertical takeoff and landing model. Yeah, I probably should do one day, but it won't be today, and it won't be with this model, I don't think. So I just want something which flies fast, and I'm reusing a model which I've already owned, which is Teksumo, and I've had it here for a long time. I've not really flown it in absolutely ages, and it's frankly about time it had a new lease of life. So I'm just going to push that motor mount in. I've stuck a pin down the hole. I'm just going to stick a pin down the other side as well. Now I'm just going to quickly go back and I'm just going to double check those measurements against the wing which we've got here. So what was it, 186 millimeters, something like that, off the centre. Again, I need 3 pins to be able to do this. Right. That one goes in there, that one goes in the middle, okay, right in the middle, good boy. Right. Hold that in one place, and I'll stick that one, make sure that's in place, do it about there. Doesn't matter where it is, as long as it's in the same place. Right, I am just going to bring this round. It's looking good already, this is going to be bad shit, fucking crazy. Sorry. Sometimes I forget I got a camera on. And this is Matt, age 12 1/4. I actually think this is absolutely a brilliant idea. But that's just me. You can pass your own comments in the video description below. Again, I'm just using the top line as a reference. Yeah, 186 to that side. Quickly turn that round. It will be out of touch. Yes. That's close enough, and I will just get the last thing which I'm going to go and do is, again, just checking this by eye, because I do want both these motors to be in line with each other. Again, I'm just eyeing that up on there. They look like they're at 90 degrees. Now I'm also just going to do one last check. I'm actually just going to step away and just eye that up on the wing. Does it look like it's perpendicular? Does it look like it's straight with the rest of the wing? And the answer in both cases is yes, it does. Fuck yeah. So, on that note, I'm going to wrap up now. Thank you for joining me for this Workbench ramble. In front of us, if I zoom out a touch, there we go, there is our twin motor Teksumo. Twin-sumo. There we go, that's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it a twin-sumo. We call it tri-sumo. Extra motor on the back end. Yes. I am moderately excited about this new adventure. Please feel free to post your vote now on whether you think the twin-sumo is going to be a winner, or do you reckon Matt's just going to end up using the tri-sumo? That's it, free motors. I don't know which way I'm going to go first. Obviously, we want to try the tri version and see what it's like. I'm expecting it to be pretty fast. I'm also expecting it to be quite fun and also definitely a handful. I've not seen a twin motor Teksumo before. For me, it's a new lease of life to a model which has just been frankly sat up there on the shelf for far too long. And I think it could be quite good fun. In short, don't know what is going to happen. Do let me know what you think is going to happen. You can do that in the comments section underneath this video. It's that needs to go and dry, and I'll keep you updated in the FaceBalls group. So, with that said, from myself, Matt, thank you very much for joining me here for a bit of a ramble at the Workbench, and you can step into my world of it could be classed as insanity or inspiredness. I don't know. who cares? It's time for me to go. It's time for me to go to bed, in fact. It's getting late here. So from myself, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this episode. I'll see you again shortly. Cheerios!